On something that I think is one of the most despicable, disgusting things I have heard yet from Doge. I don't know if you have even heard of the FMCS. FMCS, Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service. What does this one do now? What? Okay, so this hallowed land promises neutrality and resolution. So they're mediators. Okay. It's a slush fund. We found out late last week. I was reading about it this weekend, and I cannot believe it. It's such a slush fund. This should be the poster child of everything that Doge is exposing. If you thought you've seen bad stuff yet, you haven't seen anything. So now, Donald Trump put an executive order out March 14th that abolished this, or at least that's what we're told. Let's see if there's a judge somewhere that's like, how dare you? Okay. We are sitting with a federal agency getting millions of our dollars. It sits on K Street. 60 employees. Many of these employees didn't even show up for work. Like, they weren't coming to work. And I don't mean after COVID. I mean during COVID and before COVID. They just didn't show up to work. Nobody was watching the show on this one. They were not mediators for labor disputes. They were architects of their own opulence. They were kings getting fat on your money. They had government credit cards that were meant to serve you, but they were their personal piggy banks. And again, no one found this. Nobody found this. Doge found this. One took their credit card, your credit card, the government credit card, and leased a BMW. Got away with it. Been doing it for years. Wait, you put a BMW on our tax dollar? What? I mean, why not? Nobody was stopping them. The IT director, James Donnan, billed us for his wife's cell phone, their cable TV at 2 different homes, and his USA Today subscription. We paid for that. Oh, okay. They even commissioned paintings of themselves and then hung them in the offices that we paid for. They'd go on exotic vacations. They hired friends and relatives, just kept the gravy train running. This is the most despicable form of graft I have seen yet. It was a racket. And we're the suckers, gang. We're the suckers. Why? What? So this was born in 1947. This is not something new. This has been going on for a long time. And it's under the Labor Management Relations Act. And it was signed in by Harry Truman. And what it was create an independent agency. Okay. The government's going to be an independent agency with the unions. And then they would mediate all of the problems between unions and businesses. And that way we could keep commerce free and fair, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Maybe it starts out with good intentions, but now it's just a trough of swill. So the FMCS morphed from a tool that was supposed to be for stability into a playground for the entitled. This is unchecked money, unchecked power. And this isn't the only one. And you know that. There are thousands of agencies, millions of employees, trillions in spending. And how many of them are like this? How many more slush funds are lurking in the shadows? How many more people are we paying to destroy our country? Because that's what's happening. How many people are we paying? That money goes to an NGO, and that NGO stands dead set against us. And you know what the grossest part of this is? The people who are standing up for these things. I don't even understand this. How do you stand up for this? I mean, this is Rome. where they were just selling seats, where the rich just got richer and nobody did anything about it, and they just kept the country, Rome, just busy with cakes and circuses. Isn't that what we're doing? As long as we have our cake, as long as we have our circus, we're okay. Just keep them fighting. France, the same way. France drowning in debt. The nobles didn't have to pay taxes. If you were up at the upper end, you didn't pay any taxes. You didn't. It wasn't like a game either. It wasn't like, well, but I lost money. It wasn't that. You just didn't pay it. And Versailles was happening with all the opulence. We know how that one ended. Tammany Hall, New York, 19th century. All that was just graft, corruption. Theodore Roosevelt came in and cleaned that one up. This is what happens. This is what happens. But how is it possible that there are millions of people who are cheering and jeering Elon Musk? They're cheering for this, jeering him. What? Are we that numb to scandal? By the way, the FMCS, that's just another Monday in America. That's all that is. So what do we do when half the country stands up against the other half of the country that's saying, hey, this is an abusive relationship? You call a spade a spade. You're in a cult. Okay, you are in a cult. If you can't see the damage that is being done to you and your finances, something is wrong. I go to cult because one of the signs of being in a cult is they encourage you to not listen to your family. They encourage you to get away from your family. They encourage you not to talk to other people that disagree with the cult. Well, that sounds like the cult of the United States of America and the left. By the way, there is a new report out with the Bernie Sanders AOC things that have been going on. New report out. GPS data now has peeled back the curtain on who these people are. Who are they? Who's showing up? Who's standing up and saying, this is wrong, we want an end to Doge? Well, 84% of the devices that were tracked this weekend, over 30,000 attendees of all of these little rallies, had been to 9 or more Kamala Harris rallies. Wait, what? 31% had logged in over 20 appearances at protests tied to Antifa, BLM, pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian causes. Huh. So is this a popular uprising that we're seeing? Are these Democrats that are saying, you know what, this Doge thing is just he's a horrible dictator. We've got to stop him. Is that really what's happening? Are these just people like your neighbors? No. They're not people who love the country just as much as you and I do. We just disagree on policy. And it's not a spontaneous uprising. These are serial activists. And the left is doubling down on socialism and radicalism. Emphasis on radicalism. I'm watching the stuff that's happening over the weekend where they're just torching Teslas. How could you possibly be for that? I contend most Democrats are not. They just tolerate it. They're just willing because it's against Elon Musk, hate Orange Man. So whatever they're doing, I wouldn't do that, but it's for the common good. They're just tolerating it. That's the biggest problem. The biggest problem is in a society when people tolerate bad things. How do bad things happen? When good men don't do anything. There's a lot of good people on the Democratic side. A lot of good people, I'm sure. I know some. Okay, where are they? They're not doing anything. They're not doing anything. They have perfected the astroturfing. And they're using our tax dollars to do it. The data pulled from the geolocation shows patterns that are really, really precise. These weren't individuals that were moved suddenly by call to action. They're operatives. Cross-reference the reports with outlets from like the Epic Times. They documented the same kind of tactics during the 2023 pro-Palestinian Day of Resistance rallies. Remember that? It was coordinated by groups with ties to socialist networks, funded through these NGOs, again, that you have paid for. What we're actually watching happen in real time, it's been going on for years, but we haven't been able to prove it in now. Now we can prove it. Now we can show. Now we have the actual receipts. Oh, all that money went to this organization, and they passed it to this organization, which passed it to these people that are attending, let's say nicely, campfires in your local Tesla dealership. And why are they so upset? Why are they going out? Because Doge is cutting off the money. That's why. It's a guillotine to the left's financial lifeline, and they know it. We're cutting your funding off. Doge threatens to dismantle the entire web of public-private partnerships and NGO and their slush funds. Notice that Trump is no longer the primary target. Orange Man's bad, but not as bad as Elon Musk. And it makes no sense. This is the guy who has done more for the global warming crowd than any other human on the planet. Why? Not because he's disrupting the narrative. He's disrupting the cash flow. Trump was a battering ram. He would come in, I call him to his face. I say, you're a human hand grenade. You just kind of throw yourself in a room, goes off, and then the walls come down, and everybody's like, wait a minute. Look at what's behind that wall over there. He's a battering ram. He's a blunt instrument. Musk is a surgeon, an economic surgeon. He's cutting all this infection out, and the left can't tolerate it. I mean, think of Bill and Hillary Clinton, George Soros, now even Chuck Schumer, all these people that built this system where the government was picking winners and losers. They always seem to pick the losers. I don't know if you've noticed that. Unless it's their money investing in the stock market, then they seem to be very good at picking winners. They have taken and weaponized our tax dollars. They've funneled it through USAID and other NGOs, anybody that will play ball with them. And if you look at the latest study of the groups that are showing up at these rallies, it overlaps with the groups tied to federal grants. So why are these groups there? The federal grant money. They're standing up and saying, we got to stop Doge because they're the ones getting the money. It's crazy to me that they're getting all of our tax money. We know it. And people are not really saying anything about it. According to the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, billions of dollars that have been allocated to, quote, community organizations. Remember when we first heard that in 2008? We're like, community organizations, community organizers. What? What is that? They've known for a long time. Billions allocated to community organizations. Much of it ended up in the hands of activist networks. And they don't have any deliverables. There's no way. What are they doing? This is not a charity. This is a money laundering operation. And those funds bankroll rallies, train agitators, amplify radicalism, and it's all under the name of social justice. And this is where it gets insidious, really. These people are railing against the establishment, but they are the establishment. They're being paid by the establishment. They are everything they claim to despise. A top-down power structure that silences dissent, consolidates control, free speech. He's going to turn us into a dictatorship, a totalitarian. Look at what's happening all over the world. Canada's bill, C-63, pushes online censorship under the pretext of hate speech. That's totalitarianism. How do I know? Because I grew up around a bunch of liberals who were always talking about it. They were always saying, you can't trust the government to regulate speech. I can say whatever I want. I want to burn the flag. I'm going to burn the flag. Well, now this is happening all over the world. The EU's Digital Services Act? Yeah. Censorship. And the U.S. is right behind there. The same government that is granting this money is now cutting off the money because there's a new sheriff in town.